Hello everyone, Jennifer Smith here from Hidden Garden Oasis, and we are back to class. The last week of every month, I'm not going to have a class. So the first week of every month, we'll do an overview for the month, a central theme, and today is the central nervous system. And then we will have 3 classes after that, one a week, about a specific herb that supports that main topic. And then the last week of the month, we will have off. And that is the new format for the classes. So, as I said, today's class is the central nervous system. And, most people may think central nervous system only has to do with certain things, maybe the functions of your bodies and your nerves in your body. But that is just the tip of the iceberg, because your central nervous system, and we're going to really get into it today, also helps with everything. And this includes moods and mood disorders, and your brain, your heart, your gut, and we're going to talk about a little bit of everything. Towards the end of the class, I am going to put lists of different herbs that help support your central nervous system, and we will go over all of that as well. So, this is a good one because your central nervous system really does have a hand in a lot of things in your body. And I specifically, if you guys watch my videos and my lessons, I have a lot of health issues and a lot of things my body has been through. And I have yet more to add to that now as well, because, excuse me, that went down the wrong pipe. I have had some issues with my neck and for years now, and somehow it was never looked at. But I started having tremors in my hands and my arms, and they were getting really bad. So they took a closer look at my neck, and I have, well, it's actually all 3 stages, but I have neuroforminal stenosis, and it's pretty severe. So basically, parts of my neck, because it's called the cervical spine, are kind of collapsing on themselves. Plus, I have degenerative disc disease, so they're kind of collapsing on themselves, and so they're putting pressure on the nerves, and it affects everything in my body. So I'm glad that I found this out, though, before I decided to do central nervous system class, which we actually talked about depression and anxiety anyway before, and this is kind of like all coming together. Sometimes in life where things just do that, like everything just seems to line up. Well, this happens to be one of them. So I created a specific tea for my nervous system, and that's what helps me be more like a normal person during the day. I will have my 1 cup of coffee. I only do 1 cup of coffee anyway. And then I will have my Divine Nervine tea to make sure that my hands don't and my feet don't cramp up, because I get the cramps too, and my hand shake. So it's just kind of nice that I formulated all these different things that are going to help all of you as well. And we're going to talk about them. And then at the very end, I'll talk about this month's subscription box for April, which of course is for the central nervous system. So there are things in there that kind of would help with just about anything, or many things anyway, that is associated with the nervous system, and how it also goes along with last month's box, which is for sleep and relaxation. So, well, without further ado, let's get into this, shall we? So, central nervous system. You know me, I can talk forever. Alright. Just making sure that the slides are changing. Okay. All right. So the nervous system, it's an intricate network of nerves, of course, neurons, and specialized cells called glia cells. And those function as the body's communication system. It coordinates and regulates the bodily functions. It consists of central nervous system, which is abbreviated as a CNS, central nervous system, and the peripheral nervous system, which is PNS. So the CNS includes the brain and the spinal cord, while the PNS, which is the peripheral nervous system, is a vast network of nerves and transmits signals between both the CNS and the PNS systems to the rest of the whole body. The nervous system is not just limited to the brain and the spinal cord, though. It extends to other organs, notably the heart and the gut. And so we're going to talk about those, and it's called the Triad, the brain, heart, gut connection. So that is a lot of things. That is something that a lot of people don't realize, is that they're all connected. And I've said this before, and that's why, you know, I was so excited to become a naturopathic practitioner, because it shows you how, and you learn how everything is connected and how everything works together to help your body stay in what is called homeostasis. And that's your body working the way it's supposed to. And we have all these factors that come at us that try to attack how our body's supposed to work. And to be able to know how to try your best to get your body back on track for how it's supposed to work is just amazing to me. And so I'm never going to stop learning. And that we actually will talk about that in class too, how that's one of the things to help support yourself, is to constantly keep learning. Okay, so let me see here. Here's the anatomy of the nervous system. Make sure you can see it. Oh, I didn't switch. Oh, yeah, it did. So here's just a brief picture of the anatomy of the nervous system. See, it is an intricate just network. I mean, it goes through your entire body. So your brain, your heart, and your gut. So that makes sense, because they're like almost evenly distributed throughout your body. All right, next we are going to talk about neurons. So there's actually, neurons, or nerve cells, they're the same thing, are functional building blocks of the nervous system. So there are 86 billion neurons in the human brain, and it has a vast network, which we talked about, and intricate connections. So understanding the structure and function of neurons, as well as the systems that support their health and connectivity, is crucial to comprehending how our bodies process and respond to information. So neurons are extremely important. Alright, so next we're going to talk about an axon. Axon is the long and slender projection that transmits signals away from the cell body towards other neurons, muscles, and glands. So they're very, very important. The axon's ends, called the axon terminal, has tiny protrusions called synaptic terminals, or synaptic knobs. These knobs are the critical sites where the neuron communicates with their cells. The junction between the synaptic knob of one neuron and the dendrite or cell body of another neuron is called the synapses. So, if anybody has had any issues neurologically, um, or then they know that if you do not have a good connection here, then the information cannot get from one cell to the other, and that is when you start having the issues. Okay? So neurons communicate using both electrical signals within the cell and chemical signals, neurotransmitters between cells. So the electrical cells, let's say you have somebody who has epilepsy, then that is where you're going to have your issue, is because those electrical impulses are not working correctly. Then if you have somebody who may have a chemical issue, then you're talking about somebody who may not be able to receive, say, serotonin correctly, and that could cause depression or other issues. So that's why when I say the central nervous system has a hand in everything, it really, really does. Let's see, where was that in my notes? So the process begins when a neuron is stimulated, causing a change in electrical potential across the membrane. This change triggers an action potential, a wave of electrical execution to travel along the axon towards the synapses terminals. So as you can see, it's a whole system. And you guys know already, I've told you before, and we are going to talk about spirituality as well. Briefly, just as a whole naturopathic way of healing. And I am a Christian, and you know, God really knew what he was doing and took the time to make our bodies, because the way our bodies work, our brains alone is just phenomenal. I mean, we still don't know everything about the human brain, and I don't know if we ever will, because it's always ever changing. I am a walking, talking example of that. Considering I can see, and my occipital lobe, which is what's supposed to help you see, is completely gone, destroyed by the brain hemorrhage, and yet a different part of my brain just took over. When I was out of it, I remember nothing, but I was still walking, and I was using the bathroom, and I was doing everything you're supposed to be doing, and I was completely unaware of it. Just, our brains are just amazing things. Let's see. So the health of neurons and the synaptic connections between them are critical to the overall functions of the nervous system. Factors such as stress, diet, environmental toxins, and certain genetic conditions can adversely affect neurological health. So neurological diseases such as Alzheimer's and Parkinson's involve the progressive loss of structures, functions, neurons, leading to cognitive decline and motor dysfunction, which is what we talked about earlier. I said it does affect those signals. When they get interrupted, that's when you start having all the issues. The central nervous system consists of the brain, protected by the skull, and the spinal cord, which runs from the base of the brain down through the vertebral column. The brain is the control center, processing and interpreting sensory information, directing responses through the emotions. The spinal cord acts as a conduit for messages between the brain and the body. Alrighty, let's see what my next slide is. I want to make sure you saw that. Alright, great. All these kind of go into one another, so I want to make sure I don't bypass a slide. Alright, next we're going to talk about the brain. The brain is divided into several regions, each responsible for different functions, of course. So we have the cerebellum. This is the largest part of the brain, and it's responsible for higher functions like thought, speech, and sensory processing. It's divided into two hemispheres, each further split into 4 lobes: frontal, partial, temporal, and occipital, responsible for vigorous cognitive, sensory, and motor functions. Like I said, my occipital lobe went bye-bye. So I don't know, and I don't think they're ever really going to put me through any kind of rigorous testing to figure out which part of my brain is seeing for me. The point is that I can see. I know if certain people probably got a hold of my situation, since I'm less than 1% of people live through what I did, they probably will want to study me. So we'll just mum's the word. Anybody who's listening out there who may be a scientist and wants to use me as a guinea pig, I'm not for that. Just so you know. All right, the cerebellum, located at the back of the brain, is primary responsibility for coordination of voluntary movements, balance, motor, learning, and cognitive functions. Then we have the brainstem, which is connecting the brain and the spinal cord. It controls numerous essential functions like heart rate, breathing, and digestion. The spinal cord is next, and it's an extension of the brainstem. It transmits neural signals up and down the body, coordinating reflexes and serving as a relay between brain and the body. All right, so I said there was 2 kinds of nervous systems. There's the central nervous system, which we were just talking about, and then there's the peripheral nervous system. And that is consisting of all of the nerves outside of the central nervous system, extending to the furthest corners of the body. So I'm going to flip back to this picture here real quick. I don't know if you can really see it or not, and this probably not the best picture as far as showing the, well, I just flipped it. As far as showing the peripheral nervous system, the PNS, but so your main nervous system is here. So everything that goes out all the way down to your tippy toes, to your fingertips, that would be the peripheral nervous system, the PNS. Okay? Alrighty. Make sure you are where you're supposed to be. Okay. Alright. So where was I? It is subdivided into the somatic and autonomic nervous systems. The autonomic systems controls voluntary actions such as muscle movements, while the autonomic systems regulate involuntary functions such as heartbeat and digestion. So, basically, if somebody walks up to you, and if anybody has seen Young Frankenstein, this should sound familiar to you, because at the beginning of the movie, Dr. Frankenstein, kind of exhibits the difference between these. One is if somebody goes to punch you and you react to it, that would be one that you're controlling. And the automatic is like it says, breathing, heart rate, stuff that you don't think about that just happens on its own. Okay. The autonomic nervous system further is divided into the sympathetic and parasympathetic systems, often described as fight or flight, rest and digest system, respectfully. So, fight or flight, I'm sure everybody has heard of this. Basically, say you are about to go on a very important job interview or an audition or about to perform. What happens to your body? Okay? So what happens to your body is your heart rate may increase. Your stomach may be upset. You may throw up. You may have diarrhea. It's that fight or like you get nervous and everything. Your central nervous system starts engaging and starts firing signals, and your brain is telling your nervous system, which is going through your body and increasing your heart rate, hits your heart and then hits your gut, and then you may be sick, right? So that's a good example, I think, to show the extent of the central nervous system. Your hands may even start shaking from nerves. So I think that's a good example. All right. Now we are going to, let's see what the next slide is. The heart-brain connection. That's where we're going to next. Traditionally viewed merely as a muscular pump, the heart is now recognized for its complex neural network, often referred to as the heart-brain. So it connects about 40,000 neurons, allowing it to sense, process information, and even learn and remember independently of the cranial brain, which is amazing. So to know that your heart can learn with independently from the brain is kind of pretty cool. The system communicates with the brain in 4 ways: neurologically, through transmission of nerves. Sorry, didn't mean to switch that yet. Okay, I'll go ahead and go to the next one then. I need one of those clickers you hold in your hand. Alright, so transmissions of nerves, impulses, that's how it talks to the brain. Biochemically, via hormones and neurotransmitters. Biophysically, through pressure waves, and energetically through electromagnetic field, EMFs. You know, you might have heard of EMFs, like ghost hunters talk about EMF. So all of our bodies have electromagnetic frequency or waves. Even when people die, their remains give off this electromagnetic frequency or waves. So that's why, I guess you could say, ghost hunters use EMF because they can pick up the spirits, so, or the energy from the spirits. Now we're getting into a whole nother thing because we're talking about the body, but and so a lot of times, like people like me, I don't currently have active epilepsy, but I used to, and so when you have a situation where somebody has epilepsy, it has to do with their brain waves, electrical pulses in their brain. So like I have never been able to wear a watch. Well, since I started having seizures, I think I had both kids. So I'd have been about 26, I think I was, when I started having seizures. I have not been able to wear a watch in 20 years because they stop, and it does affect things around me, and sometimes other things affects my head because of the electromagnetic frequencies around me in certain things, and me with them. Let's see here. The heart's electromagnetic field changes according to emotional states, and it impacts not only our bodies but also people around us. Like, I'm sure you've been around people before where, you know, if they're sad or depressed, sometimes just being around them can make you feel that way. Or if they're extremely happy and excited, and you can feel that as well. And you really, really can. It's same with the heart. You know, if your heart has electromagnetic field. So if you are sad or if you're grieving, that can be felt by others around you. Even if you don't say anything, even if you can't tell it on your face, your heart can be putting that out there and people can sense it. And then there are some people who are sensitives, and so they can, or what are they called? Like emotional paths, where they can pick up on, if anybody can think of the word, it's escaped me right now, but where they are very sensitive to the way people feel. Can't think of what they're called. Let me know. Send me a message. Put it in a comment. All right. All right. The heart-brain connection, sorry, I lost my place, can be nurtured through a variety of ways that encompass mental, emotional, and physical aspects. So here are some of the methods. I've got them listed right here on the right. So you can do breathing exercises. And you know, some of the stuff we talked about in last month's class about rest and relaxation. And if you ever want help specifically with any of these things, you can always go to my website and schedule a free consultation, and I'll be happy to talk to you and see what your needs are and what I can help you learn. So breathing exercises, emotional freedom technique. It's called EFT. Breathing exercises, those are easy. But for emotional freedom technique, most people might not have heard of this. It's known as tapping. So it's a powerful tool that combines elements of traditional Chinese medicine and modern physiology by tapping on certain meridian points on the body while focusing on a specific emotional or physical issue. So that's what EFT is. Another one would be sound therapy. So for sound therapy, it uses different aspects of sound to improve emotional and physical health and well-being. So that's another one that you could use. Let's see, the next slide is, we're going to talk about the gut brain. Making sure that's where we're at. Hold on. Yes. Gut brain. Okay. So the entire nervous system is often referred to um, as sorry, as a second brain, or I think that was half of a sentence. Sorry about that. So the gut brain, or the gut, is usually known as the second brain, and there's 500 million neurons embedded in the lining of the gastrointestinal system. I bet you didn't know that. I didn't until I learned it. So, and it extends from the esophagus to the rectum, and can operate independently of the brain as well, like the heart, and independently of the spinal cord. It regulates digestion process, including the rhythmic muscle contractions, and there are many of them in the gastrointestinal part of your body, like it says, from the esophagus down to the rectum. So there are many, and that's what they do, the rhythmic muscle contractions and pulsing, and it helps with the secretions and enzymes, blood flow, nutrient absorption, and waste elimination. The most important part here in the central nervous system is the vagus nerve. So the vagus nerve is the 10th cranial nerve, and it runs from the brainstem to the abdomen. And it's a two-way communication highway, basically. And it's known as the gut-brain axis. It allows the gut to send signals to the brain and vice versa. So, for instance, about 90% of the fibers in the vagus nerve carry information from the gut to the brain. The gut-brain axis is not only responsible for the physical sensations like hunger and being satiated, so saying that you're full, but it's also crucial for our mental and emotional well-being. The gut, and a lot of people don't put emotional well-being and mental well-being associated with your gut, but it's true. The gut microbes that I lost my train of thought and got tongue-tied. The gut microbes, the vast ecosystems of microorganisms living in the digestive tract, play a pivotal role in this connection. It produces neuroactive substances, including about 95% of the body's serotonin, which, as we talked about earlier, is very vital with depression and a lot of emotional and psychological and mental issues. So they're very important, serotonin is. And a neurotransmitter that helps regulate mood, sleep, appetite, and cognition. Like I said, this class goes hand in hand with the rest and relaxation one, and you'll see a lot of the herbs really work with the nervous system as well for both sleep and for the central nervous system. So, recent research suggests that dysbiosis or imbalance in gut microbes may contribute to various mental health issues, including anxiety, depression, and our overall health and well-being. So, Okay, so we want to support our gut brain, right? So to do that, there are certain things that we need to do. So the gut brain connection mediated by the enteric nervous system and the gut microbiome can be supported through dietary interventions. So, supplements and eating healthy. So, we're going to talk about poly, polyphenol rich foods, and these are plant compounds that have various health benefits, including promoting the growth of beneficial gut bacteria, the good bacteria. Um, Rich sources include berries, cherries, dark chocolate, not milk chocolate, dark chocolate, and green tea. All right, next you want to include fermented foods in your diet. And this would be like kimchi, sauerkraut, natural yogurts, and that can introduce beneficial bacteria into the digestive system, supporting the microbiome and potentially influencing the gut brain communication. Then you have prebiotics. Uh, you can, some of these you can take in supplement form, and some of them you can't. However, you always want to try to get it from your food, because sometimes supplements, if you get them supplements over the counter, you really have to look at the ingredients that are in there, because um, they may add other stuff in there, and they end up, or not have enough of what you're actually looking for in there. Um, and so it's not really beneficial for you. So if you can get it from food, definitely do that. So prebiotics are um, indigestible fibers that fuel beneficial gut bacteria. And so if you do supplements, you can provide. They can provide, and they're good. They can provide concentrated doses of prebiotics to support the healthy microbiome. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. It's one of the things that happens with this new wonderful issue I have. Make sure you have mindful eating practices. So the act of eating itself is can impact your gut brain axis. So you need to eat slowly and mindfully. You want to savor each bite. So don't eat quickly. Don't shovel it down your throat. And I know in our busy lives, a lot of times the only time we can even eat is if we're eating that fast. But when you can, slow down. Enjoy your food. Savor it. Let your body work at the pace that it needs to, instead of just trying to stuff it full. And it takes 20 minutes for your body to register that it is full. So that's why a lot of people overeat as well. They eat so fast and they just shovel it in, and then you're miserable afterwards because you're too full. So try to take your time and eat mindfully. And it promotes better digestion and assimilation of your nutrients into your body, as well as enhancing your psychological, that was a completely different word, satisfaction of eating. So slow down and eat. All right. Let's see what we got here. The triad. This is what I was talking about. So the triad is the brain, heart, and gut, and how they interact with each other. So the brain, heart, and gut are interconnected, working in synergy to maintain homeostasis. Remember, that's how your body's supposed to work. It's It's called homeostasis. And several health and overall health, I'm sorry. The brain communicates with the heart and gut via neurological, biochemical, and hormonal pathways, coordinating bodily functions. Conversely, the heart and gut send valuable feedback to the brain, influencing our overall and health, mental and emotional health. Excuse me. I'm going to need to drink. I'm going to talk a little bit about the vagus nerve a little bit more. Remember, that's that big nerve that goes from your brainstem all the way down. The vagus nerve, also known as the 10th cranial nerve, is, which I said earlier, which is one of the vast vital nerves of the body. It's the longest one as well. And it extends from the brainstem to the abdomen, passing through various organs, including the heart and the lungs and the gut, the digestive tract. The vagus nerve is a major component of the autonomic nervous system, which oversees many of the body's unconscious functions. So that's the heartbeats and the lungs breathing, all of that. So the vagus nerve is responsible for various sensory, motor, and cellular functions. It's the primary nerve for the parasympathetic division of the autonomic nervous system, which helps to manage and regulate many of the bodily functions, including heart rate, breathing, digestion, inflammation control, mood regulation. So, the vagus nerve also plays a crucial role in the gut-brain axis, the biochemical signaling between the gastrointestinal tract and the nervous system. So, given its vast influence over the body's function, the health of the vagus nerve is a key consideration in naturopathic medicine. So, in what myself and many other practitioners really need to make sure that your vagus nerve is intact, because it affects so many things. So you can stimulate your vagus nerve, and there's a specific therapy that's used to treat the variety of conditions, including depression and epilepsy. And this involves delivering electrical impulses to the vagus nerve, either via a device implanted in the body through less invasive means. If you've ever been to a chiropractor, and they have this machine, and they put it on you, and it emits electrical pulses. So this is what I'm talking about, the stimulating of the vagus nerve. Then a next thing that you could do is deep breathing exercises, and that can control, if you control your breathing and do deep breathing, it can stimulate the vagus nerve, and that promotes relaxation. We talked about this in the last month's class for rest and relaxation. Next, you can try cold exposure. So, brief exposure to cold, like cold shower, can activate the vagus nerve and promote parasympathetic activity. Singing, chanting, and gargling, that can also help. So, that activates and stimulates the muscles in the back of your throat that are connected to the vagus nerve. And probiotics. So a healthy gut microbe can can influence the vagus nerve. Probiotics and gut healthy diet can support the gut brain connection mediated by the vagus nerve. So those are some things you could do. I'm really losing my voice and I'm sorry. Oh, here we go. See, this is what I was trying not to do. I talked before the slide. So here we go. Vagus nerve, heart rate, breathing, digestive system, inflammation control, mood regulation, vagus nerve stimulation, deep breathing, cold exposure, singing and chattering, probiotics. Sorry about that, y'all. All right. Physical laws of brain health. So, brain is inextricably linked to certain physical laws. Rather than being strict mandates, these laws serve as guidelines, rather, grounding in the principles of nature. When followed, they contribute significantly to the enhancement of brain health. There are three key areas to consider here. So you have sufficient oxygen supply. The brain is a power hungry organ. So it uses about 20% of the body's total oxygen supply. So if you have insufficient oxygen, it can cause the brain cells to start dying off, which can lead to cognitive decline. So make sure that you're getting plenty of oxygen. Fresh air is always the best. Go outside, open a window if it's nice out. Make sure you have significant oxygen. Next is adequate exposure to sunshine. This goes hand in hand with going outside. So sunlight exposure plays a huge role, a crucial role, basically, in vitamin D production. And people in North America will all be deficient in vitamin D. I mean, it's just a given. We don't have the exposure to the sunlight as other parts, like closer to the equator, as they do. So most people are vitamin D deficient in North America. If you have an autoimmune disorder, you definitely are vitamin D deficient, and you should take supplements. And the more exposure you have to sunshine, the better. So it is an essential nutrient for brain health. Ultraviolet rays enhance learning learning capacity, and mood. So if you are depressed, you notice people like to stay in the dark, stay away from people, but you actually need to do the opposite if you're feeling depressed or sad. You need to open up the curtains or walk outside, and it lifts your mood exponentially, just having that sunlight on your face. Forgot where I was at again. So the sunshine stimulates the pineal gland, which I have a cyst in. Fun. And within the brain, it's right in the middle of your brain, in case you're wondering where that's at. And spending time outside during daylight hours or using light therapy devices will help. And then practicing temperance. And this is a hard one for a lot of people, I'm sure. So this concept involves avoiding harmful substances and using beneficial substances in moderation. So just like everything, and I've said this before in other classes, moderation. Everything is okay in moderation, and once you start overdoing something, that's when you have an issue. So overconsumption of certain foods, toxins, or stimulants can put undue stress on your body and the brain. So, whatever do you need? So you want to make sure, instead of overdoing it with alcohol, legal or illegal drugs, even too much junk food or anything that has toxins in it's going to damage your body in multiple ways depending on what it is. So everything should be in moderation and not in excess. Dietary choices. That's the last one on this list here. We talked about all those, and we're going to talk about dietary choices. As long as my voice holds out, right? So you want foods rich in antioxidants, because antioxidants have neuroprotectives, and that helps to counteract any damages caused by oxidative stress on the brain cells. So oxidative stress has been linked to cognitive decline and a host of neurological negative disorders, including Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, just to name a couple. So a diet rich in antioxidants, which can be found in foods like blueberries or dark chocolate, leafy greens, green vegetables, helps to protect your brain and preserve its functionality. Next would be omega-3 fatty acids. Again, a lot of these things you need to get them from food because that's the best way to get them. However, if you can't, you can take supplements as long as the supplements are good. So next is omega-3 fatty acids. If you are somebody who does like herbal medicine, chia seeds are great for omega-3s. But if you want to get it from other methods, usually omega-3 fatty acids are, I was looking to see if I had, flax seeds, chia seeds, fish. Fish is a big one. Make sure you're not getting a fish that's high in mercury because that's counterproductive. Walnuts. I love walnuts. And so you should incorporate these things in your daily diet because it will help your cognitive function and help your brain cells and the membranes around your brain cells. And it promotes better communication, better brain function all around. Okay? Next are B vitamins. Again, if you have any kind of autoimmune disorder, you're probably low in at least one of your B vitamins, B12 usually. So B vitamins, particularly B6, B9, and B12, are essential for the production of brain chemicals like serotonin, And dopamine, again, those are very important with anxiety and depression, which regulate mood deficiencies. So these vitamins can lead to these vitamin deficiencies could lead to cognitive decline as well as mood disorders. These vitamins can be found in foods like whole grains, eggs, lean meat, and leafy greens. And if you eat leafy greens along with your red meat, you will also be absorbing iron. And then water. Water is very, 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 very important, and it's overlooked a lot. People don't drink enough water. So the human brain is about 75% water, and so if you're not drinking enough water and you're not replenishing your fluids in your body, you're gonna have some major dehydration, and that can cause cognitive impairments, including decreased attention, um, and memory and motor skills. All are going to be affected. And so it's very important to drink enough water. I did it again. These are the list of vitamins from food or supplements that you need. So you might want to write that down. I'll go over it again. Antioxidants, omega-3s, B vitamins, all of them, but especially 6, 9, and 12. And you have to stay hydrated. All right, now we're going to talk about the impacts of substances on the brain. And this you guys may not like. Caffeine. So caffeine triggers the body's crisis response mechanisms. So stimulating the neurotransmitters like dopamine, and while it's supposed lost my spot. It suppresses. Aha, I found it. It suppresses androstenedione, and this can produce a sense of alertness, which is why we drink coffee, to wake us up, right? And pleasure. However, over time, it leads to a depletion and imbalance of the neurotransmitters, resulting in caffeine dependence, which can cause withdrawal symptoms more severe than some illicit substances. Crazy. Thus, it is recommended to ease off caffeine to avoid potential negative impacts on mental health. I drink 1 cup a day. That's it. That's all. No more. Sometimes less. Sometimes I don't drink it at all. But yes, caffeine is still considered kind of a drug because it is addicting. And you do go through withdrawal if you just stop it cold turkey. So if you do decide that you want to stop drinking caffeine or start drinking less, just do it a little bit at a time. Decrease it a little bit at a time. All right. Next, we're going to talk about mercury. So, mercury is a potent neurotoxin, and it can cause damage to the brain cells and the myelin sheath around the cells, potentially leading to serious conditions such as MS, as a bioaccumulative substance. Mercury accumulates in the tissues over time. It's found in certain vaccines in the form of thimerosal and larger fish due to the bioaccumulation. It's also present in some dental fillings. So you want to check your vaccines to make sure they don't include mercury. You want to make sure you're eating fish that's low in mercury, or, well, you can't really, it's very hard to get fish that are completely mercury free, but try to eat the ones that are lower in mercury. If you have fillings, you need to check and see if they're the old school fillings that have mercury in them. If so, you might want to talk to your dentist about switching those out and getting those out of your body, because a lot of people have the older fillings that do have mercury, and it's causing havoc on their bodies. So it's something to look into if you have fillings. Next is alcohol. And I mean, we all know you drink too much consistently, it does kill brain cells. But alcohol is also a neurotoxin, and there's no safe dose. I know you probably don't want to hear that if you drink. So there's no safe dose for consumption, and I was just talking about prohibition in here. Which doesn't really relate here. So there's no safe dose of alcohol, so you really shouldn't drink it. However, they do say if you drink about a cup of red wine a day, a week, whatever, but red wine does help your blood flow through your body. But remember that when you're drinking alcohol, it is a neurotoxin, so you have to deal with that clearly, because when you get drunk, you drink too much, what happens? Your decision making is not the best. You lower your inhibitions and don't make the best choices. You have a hard time walking and talking, and so yes, it's definitely a neurotoxin, and it will affect your brain. All right, so drugs, both legal and illegal, can impact your brain, leading to conditions like depression and schizophrenia. In some cases, legal drugs like antidepressants can even cause the conditions they're meant to treat. And then that's the thing too, when you are on prescription medications, they come with their own slew of warnings and contraindications, and that's why I say a lot of times, if you are wanting to use supplements and herbal remedies, it's best if you talk to an herbalist or your doctor and make sure everybody knows what you're on. That's why I also have the free consultations, and you can schedule continued sessions with me if I'm working with you, if we decide to work with each other on a naturopathic plan for you. I do have that available, so I make sure that you're not taking anything that's going to counteract or contraindicated for the medications you're on, or vice versa with the supplements. Next is the EMFs, which we talked about briefly, the electromagnetic fields, such as those from laptops and other electronic devices. They have been associated with potential effects on the brain function, reducing exposure to EMFs by limiting devices use and using protective shieldings, like they have those blue light glasses. Also, like we talked about in the sleep and relaxation class last month, is some people even say that you shouldn't have televisions or anything in your bedroom where you're going to sleep, and that your bedroom should only be used for procreation and rest and sleep. And your phone, make sure you don't have your phone in front of you. Turn off the any kind of blue lights and stuff at least an hour or two before bed. That'll help you sleep. So, other environmental factors affecting the brain health, mold, especially black mold, if you have it in your house, it is very, very bad for you. Um, but mold and chemicals in the household products can also negatively impact brain health. Exposure to mold has been linked to cognitive issues, fatigue, and mood disturbances, not to mention lungs, breathing. Reducing indoor humidity and ensuring proper ventilation can help fight its effectiveness. And as far as household items, you'll see I'll do, or I have done, and will continue to do different videos on how to make more natural cleaners and laundry soap and fabric softener and all of that as well. So you can slowly switch your stuff from the things that you get at the store that may have chemicals in there that are harmful or toxic to you, and have more natural things in your house if that is something that you want to try to do. All right. So now we're going to talk about impacts of substances on the brain health. We talked about that one. Now we're going to talk about the impacts of mental health. So these are going to be some tips to kind of help you. Lifestyle and dietary recommendations, which we talked about, having the supplements, the vitamins, your food, and a lot of examples of things that will help you as far as, berries and walnuts and all the different kinds of foods. So positive changes in your lifestyle and your dietary habits can significantly enhance brain health, or even the triad, the brain, heart, gut, all of it. Help its function, help your body, help you feel better. Reducing wheat and caffeine consumption, excuse me, and eliminating foods containing refined sugar and dairy can play a critical role in mental well-being. Emphasizing mindfulness about what is going into your body is really, really key. So you also need to understand stress and worry. So stress and worry can bypass the prefrontal cortex functions and negatively impact mental health. Trusting in God and reducing worry help maintain good mental health. Similar and also similarly, finding peace and living in the moment can help maintain mental wellness. It involves making conscious decisions, not worrying about the past or the future, and stay away from fear. Live your life. Don't let life live you. So next we're going to talk about understanding the impact of mental attitude and spiritual connection. So maintaining a positive mental attitude is also crucial for brain health function. And you need to get away from persistent stress and anxiety or negativity. A lot of times you have certain people in your life which can also be toxic. not just the food that you put in your body, not just the air that you breathe, not just the things that you put in the body, your body that are toxic, but people can be toxic and negative, and they could create your anxiety, and they can create your depression, and they can put you down, and they can just not be good for you. They can be toxic people. Those people you need to eliminate from your life if you can, or limit the exposure you have to them, because that can affect you on every single level. So you want to get rid of that negativity if you can, or limit it, because it can lead to, the release of harmful hormones like cortisol levels. If your cortisol level is too high, you're constantly stressed, you're constantly worried, that can lead to weight gain. That can lead to illnesses. That can lead to depression. And so you need to try to just really enjoy life and have a peaceful environment. So there's different, techniques that you can do as well, as mindfulness, meditation, we talked about last month, cognitive behavior therapy, promoting better brain health, eating right, exercising, having an outlet, a hobby, something that you enjoy doing that helps relax you, helps keep you centered and grounded. You also need to foster a strong spiritual connection. And if you believe in God, then God, or what you believe in. I do believe in God, so I'm very spiritual. I'm very, very spiritual. And if you've gone through anything I have gone through, it's kind of hard not to have that spirituality about yourself. But it gives you this sense of calm and peace that you need in your life. And it helps with your mood, helps to know that you're not alone, and you always have somebody there when you are very sad and depressed in your deepest, darkest parts of your life. So practice something spiritual like prayer, meditation, religious study, and it'll stimulate your brain and your frontal lobe and enhance your cognitive functions and emotional well-being. Spirituality is very important for our overall health. Also, the power of ongoing learning. Always be learning, always be growing, never stop. You always learn about yourself, learn about, God. We're talking about spirituality. Learn about that. Learn about plants like herbalism and the free classes I give every week. Learn about whatever conditions you may have. Just keep learning, keep growing, keep expanding your brain, keep pushing your brain to learn more, because I didn't understand that. My phone's talking. Oh, that's funny. I thought I was talking to it. All right. So, knowledge is power. So learn and grow. Keep track of, how you're feeling and the things that you're doing and what is making you feel better and what is not, Another thing that I learned when I was in rehabilitation after my strokes and the brain hemorrhage, they had me at a rehab place for a while, and I had a lot of anxiety because I couldn't see, and then when my sight was coming back, it was coming back in fragments, and it was very unnerving. My brain was trying to connect what I was seeing when I started seeing from memories, and things were scary, and I had all this anxiety. And one of the things that I learned was, if you're sitting in a chair and you want your feet to feel the floor, right? Then you're going to take your hands and you're going to feel your legs, and then you're just going to rub your hands up and down on your legs and move your feet so you can feel the floor and get grounded. Like really connect to the ground and your surroundings and take a few deep breaths. Close your eyes and it calms you down. And that worked amazing for me, and I really needed that. I mean, even now I will get flustered, and um, I'll need to do that sometimes. Still, it's just a good technique that I liked. All right. Use technology. There we go. So that's the last thing. Technology. So there are a lot of different kinds of apps that you can just get on your phone, and you can track everything. You can track what you're eating. You can track how you're feeling. You can um, track your moods. So you can use technology and use those apps if that's helpful. If you're a tech kind of person, I'm older, so I'm kind of old school. But those are available for you too. All right, so now we're going to talk about. All right, now we're into the herbs. So nervine herbs, those support the central nervous system. All right, you're going to see a lot of the herbs on this list we have talked about already. So you should be familiar with them because we've already had classes on a lot of them. Passion flower, we've had a class on. Lavender, we've had a class on. Lemon balm, we've had a class on. Valerian, had a class on. Chamomile, we've had a class on. Skullcap, we have not. Maybe we'll talk about it this month. Catnip, we have not. Maybe we'll talk about that. St. John's wort, we're definitely going to talk about that one. Ashwagandha, I think we had a class on that. California poppy, we already have. Hops, we have not. So, if you are new and this is your first class, you can go back and you can watch all those on the Hidden Garden Oasis page, Facebook page, or on my YouTube channel, Hidden Garden Oasis, and you can learn more about those. Some of these are stronger than others. And nervines, there are different families under the nervines. So there's nervine stimulants, nervine relaxants, nervine sedatives. So they're all a little different. Some are stronger than others. I don't want to mess up here. Okay, here is some herbs specifically that help with reducing anxiety. Valerian, lemon balm, lavender, chamomile, passion flower, ashwagandha, St. John's wort, kava kava, rhodiola, and ginkgo. Okay, ginkgo you probably heard of because it's very mass marketed. I use the herb ginkgo when I make my stuff. But a lot of these, as you can see, are in the stuff for the sleep and relaxation box, and are sold individually on my website. I have a valerian chamomile passion flower capsule to help with sleep support. I have a passion flower chamomile California poppy capsule that will help you sleep. So there's a lot there. And me specifically, with all of my issues, I have a system and certain things that I use at certain times of the day that help me get through the day and sleep peacefully at night. Because without it, my tremors were getting so bad that my hands would wake me up at night, or I had a cramp in my foot or my leg, and it would wake me up at night. But doing the sleep support capsules for my nervous system help calm me, and I'm able to sleep. All right, herbs for depression, specifically to help with depression symptoms. Again, if you are on any medications, you have to make sure that if you are wanting to use herbs, that they're not going to interact or contraindicated for the medications that you're on. Specifically, St. John's wort is one where if you take it internally, basically remove all of your medications from your body too quick, and so you don't want to do that. However, if you use St. John's wort externally, it's safe. As far as research has shown, it is safe to use externally, like in an oil. So, herbs for depression: black cohosh, lavender, chasteberry, chamomile, passion flower, saffron, jasmine, lemon balm, and rosemary. We have, again, had a class on a lot of these as well previously. So, now we want to talk about products that are available. So, this month's box is Central Nervous System box, and it includes lemon balm drops, a calming glycerite, nervine glycerite, the calming sleep herbal tea with tea bags, and the divine nervine herbal tea with tea bags, and St. John's wort oil, which I have just recently made up. So it is jam-packed, over $100 worth of merchandise for $49.99. If you use that code BOX1, which is on the banner on the top of the website, Hidden Garden Oasis, then you can use that and you'll get over $100 worth of stuff for $39.99. And I will ship that out to you. But you can only use that promo code if you order online through the website. And then you can also buy the items individually. So the St. John's wort oil, the calming sleep tea is available on there. The calming glycerite. You can buy things individually as well. Now, for previous boxes, if you go under shop and then subscription or individualized boxes, all of the old boxes from previous months are there. You can order those as well, including last month's box, which was sleep and relaxation, and those also have nervous system support herbs like the sleep aid or sleep support with the valerian, the poppy sleep aid, those kinds of things as well. The calming sleep tea is in that one as well, so you can also do that. Okay, there's me again. Hidden Garden Oasis, Jennifer Smith. Website is Hidden Garden Oasis. Facebook page. I also have two groups, a study group and the Natural Healing Community, which the Natural Healing Community is a public group. Please join it. Learn, share. That'd be great. Instagram, Hidden Garden Oasis. YouTube channel, Hidden Garden Oasis. My email address is jennifersmith@hiddengardenoasis.com, and my phone number is 573-318-1447. If you want to reach me, you can schedule a consultation, email me, call me and leave me a voicemail. You can send me a message on social media. Any of that is fine. And if you have any questions at all, at any time, I say at any time, but if it's when I'm sleeping, you're just going to have to leave a message because I'm sleeping. But if you have any questions, shoot me a message, an email, or a voicemail, and I will be happy to return your call. If you are somebody who is on medications or would like to have a consultation so that I can create some individualized formulations for you, just schedule that free consultation from the website. And as always, thank you for allowing me to help you on your natural healing journey. And everyone, stay tuned for next week because I'm going to do St. John's wort. So next Tuesday, same time, same channel, 5:30 p.m. Central Time, we will talk about St. John's wort. Everybody enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll see you next time.